All right, in this explainer, we're tackling a huge question. How do you actually build a life of health and happiness when, let's be honest, the modern world seems kind of designed to work against you? We're going to dig into the wisdom of Naval Ravikant to figure it out.
So let's just start with this one single idea from Naval that's going to frame everything we talk about today. It's like a compass for making decisions. When you're at a crossroads, pick the path that sucks more right now. Sounds kind of backward, right? But the whole idea is that the short-term pain is basically the ticket to long-term gain and freedom.
Okay, so we've got a lot to cover. Here's the plan. First, we're going to look at what Naval calls the modern trap, basically why we all struggle so much today. Then, we'll talk about the harder path as the escape route. From there, we'll dive into the two absolute pillars of a good life, your body and your mind, and see how mastering them leads to what really matters, internal freedom. All right, so let's dive right in. To even begin to find a solution, we first have to get a really clear diagnosis of the problem. And it all comes down to this fundamental conflict. We've got ancient biological hardware, our brains, trying to run in a world with brand new, totally foreign software. This slide really just nails the issue. Think about it. Our brains are basically running on caveman software. They're wired for a world of scarcity, a world of survival. But the world we actually live in, it's one of overwhelming abundance and comfort. And this massive mismatch, well, it's the root cause of so much of our modern anxiety. Our brains are still scanning for saber-toothed tigers, but now those tigers are just social media notifications. So what's the result of all this? Well, it puts us on what you might call a treadmill of desire. You know that feeling, right? That constant, restless feeling of never being satisfied, always chasing the next thing, the next purchase, the next dopamine hit, but never actually feeling like you've arrived. And this is where the idea of the monkey mind comes in. It's a concept from Buddhist philosophy, and it's that part of your brain that's just constantly chattering. It's restless, it's impulsive, and it's always jumping from one thought to the next. Now, that part of our brain was super useful for survival, but today, it mostly just keeps us stuck in a loop of anxiety and wanting more. Okay, so if we're stuck on this treadmill with a chattering monkey mind, how in the world do we get off? Well, this brings us right back to that core idea from the beginning. We have to consciously choose to retrain our brains, and we do that by embracing the harder path. And here are some perfect examples of what that actually looks like day to day. It's making the choice to go to the gym when your couch is calling your name. It's putting the phone down and picking up a book. You know, every single one of these small, hard choices is like casting a vote for the person you want to be in the future. It builds that muscle of discipline, and that stuff compounds like crazy over time. And you know, there is one area where this principle is not just important, it's absolutely critical. And that is the one asset you have that you can never, ever get back, your physical health. Look, before anything else, before the money, before the success, Naval is crystal clear on this. Your number one job has to be your health. It is the foundation. Everything else you want to build, your happiness, your work, your relationships, it's all built on top of that foundation. And this quote just flips our society's whole script on its head, doesn't it? We're all taught to chase wealth first, right? We sacrifice our health and our time thinking we can just buy it all back later. But as Naval points out, the real order of importance is the complete opposite. What good is a garage full of cars if you don't have the health to drive them? And really, it all boils down to this. You cannot outsource your health. You can't pay someone to do your push-ups for you. You can't hire someone to eat clean for you. Money is great for solving money problems, but it can't solve this one. Taking total, radical ownership of your physical health is just non-negotiable for a good life. Okay, so let's say you've got the physical foundation dialed in. That's the hardware. Now we got to talk about the software, your mind. Because just like any piece of software, it can get buggy, it gets cluttered, and every now and then it needs a good debugging session. This is where Naval has such a brilliant way of looking at meditation. He says, forget all the mystical stuff for a second. Just think of it as a practical tool for debugging your own mind. It's the simple act of sitting down, watching your mental code run, and spotting the bugs, the repetitive anxieties, the negative thought loops. And by just observing them, you let them work themselves out. I mean, how great is that analogy? We all understand intermittent fasting for our body. You give your digestive system a break so it can heal. Well, meditation is the exact same thing, but for your mind. You're giving it a break from the nonstop flood of information and noise, and you're letting it rest and reset. So how do you actually do this? Well, his practice is incredibly simple, but don't let that fool you. You just find some time,
ideally an hour if you can, and you do nothing. No goals, no trying to clear your mind. You just sit there and let your mind go crazy. You just watch it. And in that simple act of watching, you create a little bit of space between you and your thoughts. That's where the magic, the debugging, happens. So you work on the body, you work on the mind. What's the payoff? Where does this all lead? Well, when you start to master these two areas, you unlock the real prize. And it's not just about feeling good. It's about achieving real, actual freedom. This is such a powerful reframing of the word retirement. It's not a number in your bank account. It's not an age. It's a state of being. Retirement is the moment you stop sacrificing your present for some imaginary future. It's when you can be fully present in what you're doing, right here, right now. And that's really the whole point, right? The external game, the money, the status, it's only a means to an end. The real goal is to win the internal game. The ultimate victory isn't breaking free from a job you hate, it's breaking free from the chains of your own restless mind, your own anxieties. And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. Our world is obsessed with teaching us how to get rich, but it spends almost zero time teaching us how to be happy. And as Naval reminds us, happiness isn't a prize you win at the end. It's not something you find. It is a skill you practice and develop. And it is, without a doubt, the most important skill you will ever learn.